Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. This is Lemoore City Council, City Chambers, the 429 C Street, February 23rd, 2022. Please silence all electronic devices and courtesy those in attendance. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. Cheney.
Yeah.
I got you. So,
Right, the last bit.
yeah, I know. So we're going to go ahead and stand for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And our invocation will be led by our own Mr. Brown.
Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Lord, we invite you to preside over this meeting, this council meeting, even if we have different opinions, give us unity of spirit. Help us each listen politely as the others share their points of view. Help us to work together as a team and combining ideas for great outcome. Help us to work as a whole rather than individuals trying to promote their own agendas. May we have a spirit of camaraderie in this room and work together on our shared mission. Please watch over the city council, the city of Lemoore, our public safety, and those who help keep our city great. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Roll call, please.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Orth,
Here.
Councilmember Gornick,
Here.
Councilmember Cheney, Mayor Pro Tem Matthews here, and Mayor Lyons.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a quorum, so let's go ahead and go back to please silence all electronic devices. It's just courtesy of those in attendance. Thank you very much.
What was that?
So that takes us to our new business,
It's the
section
mute
1.
button. Hope that was planned.
That had to be planned. So new business, section 1, report and discuss any other council actions will be taken. 1-1, report recommendation and or actions. Sandridge Partners LP proposal to construct and operate a cattle feed lot and a beef harvesting plant. Mr. Olson.
So good evening, Mayor and council members. Glad everybody could make it this evening. So the city sent an opposition letter to Kings County on January 18th of 2022 regarding CUP 21-06. The project included a feedlot of approximately 215 acres for 12,600 head of cattle and a beef harvesting plant to be located on about 40 acres with a planned production of about 120 head per day. The city received correspondence from the county on February 18th, 2022, stating the applicant will pull the feedlot from the project if the city didn't oppose a beef harvesting plant as presented with the original plan. They also indicated that our cannabis companies in town in that area have already sent a letter and agreed that this would be acceptable for them to be able to maintain their operations along the freeway. Should the city consider pulling the opposition letter for the feedlot located at the southwest corner of 198 and Highway 41 and not oppose the beef facility harvest on the northwest corner of 41 in Jackson? Again, that'd be 40 acres on the northwest corner of 41 in Jackson. I'm requesting that if we choose to do that, that some of these conditions be met. And this is just the first ideas. Call this meeting to get council's feedback and obviously hear from the public. I have also reached out to all the other partners in town that have sent opposition letters. We do have in attendance tonight West Hills College that had sent an opposition letter, so they're here to kind of listen in. I've talked to both the superintendents of the elementary and high school, as well as I believe the base is on Zoom listening in. So we have some of our other partners in here as well. But anyway, should we consider this action? The first topic would be fly control measures must be in place. Dust control measures also to be in place. Now, it's my understanding this facility is all concrete built. There will be a holding pen. Once the cattle are unloaded, you do hold them in a holding pen outside. So we're going to ask that they they keep their holding pens to 125 head capacity, 1 day's worth of production. No storage or use of bees on original site development. So we don't want any beekeepers or anybody storing bees on the site either, because that could be detrimental to other things we have going on within the city. Feedlot to stay clear of any city influence. So we toured feedlot locations yesterday with Mr. Jim Wilson. He's in attendance as well. He will be the gentleman building this facility if it so goes through the county. And so he is here to answer any and all questions you may have this evening. The sites are well outside the city and will not have any impact. They're closer to Stratford and out past 15th Avenue and more towards Hanford. I'm also asking that no rendering of waste material from the beef harvesting plant be rendered in Lemoore. And Jim has stated that all the rendering material, all the waste will be stored in sealed stainless steel silos and then trucked off, and they'll be disposed of at a separate facility in another town. And that's what I've come up with so far. So this is kind of to just get some of the stakeholders together to have an open discussion. I do believe there is some misinformation floating around out there in our community right now. So this would be a good time to clear up any of those misconceptions and carry the conversation forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, for any questions or.
Council, do you guys have any questions for Nathan, or is it Jim?
Mr. Jim Wilson, he's
Mr.
with
Jim
Sand
Wilson.
Ridge Farms.
I'd just like to hear from the public first before.
Well, we're gonna have our discussion. We'll open it to public and then we'll bring it back to council. So please silence all electronic devices as a
So-
courtesy to those in attendance.
We're gonna go in order.
Sure, go ahead if you have
You
anything.
okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, my question is, I have a lot. We're gonna get rid of the feed, they want to get rid of the feedlot part of it, correct? Or they're gonna move it somewhere else?
Correct. So the project they proposed had a feedlot on the north section on about 215 acres. And then on the southern part by Jackson, they had where they would do the beef rendering, and then they're going to have basically a store. So you can go through there and buy beef on your way to the coast or whatnot. With this proposal, they approached the county protest. They will pull the feedlot completely from the project, and all they're requesting now is to build a beef harvesting facility, which would be 40 acres on the northwest corner of Jackson and Highway 41.
Do they plan on putting the feedlot somewhere else?
The feedlots, they already have them, and they're in Stratford and like I said, out by 15th and closer to Hanford. Because they were doing this project to gain efficiencies, they were trying to combine all their feedlots, but have since realized that might not be in their best interest. So they've agreed just to keep their feedlots where they are and pull them from the project. And they're just looking for some cooperation.
Well, I guess the next big question is how many wells will be drilled on the property?
I do
Mr.
not know
Wilson
the
should
answer to
know
that,
that.
but there is, I believe, 2 or 3 existing wells on that property already, and Jim might be able to answer that better than I can.
Mr. Wilson, can you answer that? How many wells are on the property?
There's 3 existing wells.
Okay, how deep are they?
2 are shallow wells. They're gonna be 400 to 500. There's 1 deep well, probably 1,200 to be my guess.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Miss, can you come up to the microphone so everyone can hear you?
Are you planning on drilling any more wells?
No,
What guarantees does the city of Lemoore have that you're willing to put into writing that you will not drill another well on that property?
for the beef processing plant,
No, no. Drill a well that we get opportunity for the drill, any more wells drilled.
for the beef plant. You're referring to.
No, I'm not playing, there's no word games here. On
Correct.
this property, anywhere, for anything, for
I-
taking water outside of this county,
I
or
farm that
taking
ground.
water
I
anywhere
farm that
else?
ground and I'm entitled to drill wells.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
So we're gonna keep a smaller, they want to keep a smaller pen for only 120 head.
I do believe that I think they wanted more, I believe like up to maybe 300 head. I'm coming back and saying, well, it has to do with trucking. You can hold 31 to 36 cows on a load. So just kind of for a starting reference, I put 125 head, and I talked to some of our operators south of town, and they're okay with that kind of number of animals across the street.
How big of a pond are they gonna have?
I don't believe the
What I'm
ponds
referring
go
to
in
is
with this as they would have with the feedlot. Again, I'll have to have Mr. Wills come up because I know the original feedlot had like a 500 by 500.
The processing facility is calculated to use 50,000 gallons a day of wastewater, of wash-up water. We have to wash the facility every 8 hours.
Yeah, that makes sense, but,
Correct,
so we're gonna have a retention pond.
correct. It
Okay,
goes through a filtration system, which I have to for the federal stamp, and then it'll be used for irrigation.
okay. And what I meant about the wells is I want to make it very clear. I understand you own the property. You can do whatever you want with the property. That's not my argument. My
Correct.
argument is, are we going to in the future drill wells to be utilized for other things other than farming? I come from a farming family, so I'm okay with farming.
Correct.
What I'm mainly getting a word out is wells drilled for, or currently for the processing facility. Are we gonna have any plans of drilling wells to use that water to be shipped to other neighboring counties, cities, or states outside of our area?
We have numerous plantings all through Stratford area. So I mean, that's where we utilize all the well water right now. anyway.
Okay, just, that was my big question.
Council, one thing I will remind us of is this is in the county. So I don't know if we can actually put restrictions on as a city. So we can ask the questions, but I don't think we have technical oversight of enforcing that at this point.
I mean, you couldn't annex it,
We could, yeah.
then you'd have to fall into our,
Then they would, yes.
I just want someone to, because this is like a handshake deal. This whole piece of paper, in my opinion, is a handshake deal. This is, you promise to us that you're gonna do these things. And then once the county, we pull our letter, once the county does what they do, if they give you permission to do it, no one has to follow your handshake rules with us. There's no contract written here. So that's why there's a lot of questions, because we have a lot of citizens. I've gotten more phone calls in the last 48 hours about this than anything in the last year. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are not happy with a lot of things apart this. You're not the punching bag, but you're the one that wants to do this. So,
Correct.
I mean, there's a lot of questions, and I know it's not in our sphere. I know it's not in our city,
Correct.
could be.
but obviously somebody's listening to a letter if they're coming to a special meeting and asking us to do a special meeting. So
I understand.
there's feet in this. There's enough stakeholders in this that we should have a voice, and
Right
we should
now,
all have a voice. We should all have an opinion, and we have 27,000 people that we have to worry about, not just,
correct.
you know.
Right now, I currently run 3 feedlots. I'm in the process of starting a 4th one in the Riverdale area, existing dairy. And I'm working on another dairy that's located in Kings County. So I'm just gonna operate those as feedlots.
All right, that's the other thing. We don't know, I don't know you from
Correct.
Adam, so I
understand.
don't, I just, I only know what Sand Ridge is in the newspaper, and it's not, very good. So there's 2 sides to every story.
All right.
So this will be an interesting conversation. I'm good for now.
Mr. Warnick, Mr. Cheney.
Is there any way to enlarge that map? Can you get to the podium, Mr. Wilson? Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. So on the area that's white below the yellow and the blue line there.
Can I?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, please. Yeah, thank you.
This here was gonna be a feed storage area for the feedlot. This whole entire thing here was the feedlot. Basically just wanting to build this facility right now.
Oh,
78,000 square foot tilt up building. with the 1,800 square foot retail meat counter in the front.
So, see, that's part of the problem. We got a map that is not representing what the request is. And it puts you at a disadvantage as well as us.
Correct.
So, because that changed the
Just
calculus.
scroll down a little bit.
So,
Yeah, but I thought that was a warehouse.
yeah, I didn't know what that was.
No, so if, yeah, it's hard to read on here, but that actually calls out the slaughterhouse and beef plant. Is that lower right hand?
Basically
Corn.
everything from
Yeah. Mr. Wilson, you go ahead and point. You know what you're doing. We don't.
basically everything.
Sorry.
Come on, Marissa, work with us.
Basically north of this driveway will be non-existent. I'm not sure where water quality will make it for a retention pond, but that's.
Yeah.
It'll be adjacent to. it.
Probably be the smart thing to do. Yeah.
Correct.
What is, so what's the square footage of this?
78,000 square feet.
Okay. And then the acreage
That-
on
it's
that,
About 40 acres.
from that road south is about 40 acres.
South, it's south of, north of Jackson.
No, but I mean, north of Jackson to that curved road there is about 40
The
acres.
whole entire outlet. It's about
Okay.
40
Okay.
basically directly across from the racetrack.
Yeah. So what are you gonna do with the rest of the land? You gonna
Farm. I farm
alfalfa
now.
or whatever?
I
Okay,
have a dairy in Riverdale, so I transport that to Riverdale.
I got you. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I have a couple of concerns and they're mirror what my colleague, Mr. Worth said, and that was there are no guarantees in this issue. You know, you said that they were going to process 300 a head a day and you came back with 120 head a day. So at the end of the day, that could be 500 head a day. In other words, I don't want to sign off on anything until we get something that's concrete.
That's fine, but the 120 head a day, I believe, is the actual number of the facility and what is actually in this document. If you go back up to the first paragraph, I think where the confusion may have been when I was riding around with Mr. Wilson yesterday, looking at feedlots and getting just some background knowledge for this meeting was, I think in our conversation, he had requested maybe up to 300 head to be held for processing, like 2 to 3 days worth. And I came back and after I thought about it and thought, well, I think with good logistics, we can probably limit that number. Because I know for me, that's going to be the biggest concern is how many live animals are outside at the intersection.
Yeah.
I would like to at least build, at least, you referred to 120, Nathan. I'd like to make it at least 200. Trucking is a huge issue when you move cattle. That's,
Right.
and it's not getting any easier.
Yeah.
So it's hard to schedule loads coming in, so you gotta have a variance window. And I
So-
can't start and stop a kill plant.
So your daily, so that
100 head a day is what my
will
anticipating.
be
up
in
to
that pen. So you're gonna have
120.
to feed 100 a day and they have to stay for about 4 hours before you
Correct.
harvest them. What if?
And you'll have trucks that come in at,
That's
when
right.
they're done, you can't fire up, so they'll sit there till the morning
Right.
comes in.
Okay. Do you anticipate working a 16-hour shift or
5 days a week, 16 hours. correct.
16 hours? Okay.
And then the meat counter will be open 7 days a week.
Okay. So when you talk about fly control measures, talk to us a little bit about that. What's that include?
It'll be minimal because you get flies from wet manure. And that's when it builds up, but if the cows are in and out there, it'll all be diatomaceous gravel on the pins. It'll be minimal.
Okay. And then so what do you do with the waste material? How is that hauled away? Daily or weekly? or-
Correct. It's augered into a stainless steel vat. It's like a hopper system. And then when a truck arrives, it's augered into a truck. It'll go to Quello Meats where it's going.
Okay, they'll
Baker-
process
Through
it.
Baker Commodities, correct.
Okay, that's probably what you do with all your stuff now.
That, exactly,
Okay, all right. Is that kind of a daily deal
Yes,
or? okay.
yes.
And then, so there's a retail outlet on that thing. So that's what struck my, is, what do you anticipate in terms, do you have an idea what you're anticipating in terms of retail sales? sir?
Not on the on the whole thing, like cash wise, what it should generate, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
It should do. I have this number right now, I'm drawing a blank. About 2.5 to 3 million a month. in gross revenue
gross revenue.
on retail side. I don't know what the meat counter will do. You know,
Yeah,
that's just, my whole thing is to sell halves and whole sides of beef retail out
Gotcha.
to
the
restaurants,
rest is just.
grocery
okay.
stores.
Well,
And
you
it's
know,
all
my-
set up high end. It's all dry aged. I mean, I'm just going at the high end quality market is what I'm
Okay.
after.
You know, my concern is, I was serious about annexation. I mean, if there's that kind of revenue, why would we not annex it and put it in the city? I mean, that would be one option. I mean,
Yeah, but before we talk about annexing the property, I think we have to know if we're okay with what they want to do to they're not going to annex anything and tell them they can't have
Well, I'm not necessarily saying I agree with it, but I'm just saying in terms of that should be an option for us to consider if the city moves forward, is not just leave that.
I would
income.
agree with you on that,
Yeah.
Mr. Gornick.
Let's see, I had another one. So all we have from the county is a conversation from Victor, who just said, you know, if you guys are willing to do this, we can get them to change their mind.
Yeah, I can. Would you like me to read the email I received from the county? Oop, that's not it. Okay, so this was received from actually Chuck Kinney on 2/16. I think I put 2/18 in my letter here, but it looks like it came in on 2/16. Hi, Nathan. After speaking with Sandridge Partners, they have stated that they will be willing to remove the feedlot portion of the project from their application if the city of Lemoore is willing to support the beef harvesting plant. It is my understanding that they have spoken with the cannabis developers across the street, and they have agreed to support the beef harvesting plant with the removal of the feedlot portion from the application. Would you please let me know if the city is willing to support such a proposal, which is limited to the beef harvesting plant? Thanks, Chuck Kinney. I, at that point, responded that I would call a special meeting this week to get back to him. There's a little bit of time sensitivity, I think, because there's a lot of grant money to build these facilities right now through the federal government. So the county's, wants to get it through. So his basic reply was, well, we look forward to hearing from you. Let me know how the meeting goes. So we're here to have that conversation and let everybody ask their questions.
Yeah, I guess finally, the other thing that concerns me is, what if you decide that you want to expand,
And the processing side.
yeah.
I'm kind of limited on square footage. I mean, and it's cost prohibitive. The cost to build this thing is astronomical. And that's what, as Nathan was saying, my back's up against the wall. There's some government funding, some grant money from the Biden administration to help facilitate smaller kill plants. And that's what I'm trying to get.
Good.
But I have to submit that application coming this March.
So you mentioned the cost. So do you have investors?
No,
You done, Frank, or?
Yeah, I'm done.
Mr. Cheney, have you got any questions?
No, it's more of a comment. I think that obviously looking at this, besides some personal comments, which I'll refrain from, it looks like we're putting the cart before the horse. This is the old adage. We need to sit back and let the county planning department let them commit to what they plan to do. And then I think that we need to revisit the issue after that. Because we're once again jumping into something that we don't know anything about. Let them commit to what they're going to do with the county, and then we can either oppose it or be in agreement with what's going on. So again, I think that we need to just pardon the pun, cool our jets and wait till this happens. We can take a position, but I think that the position is based on what the county, the planning department comes up with, based on what they're committing to. So I guess there's no questions, it's a comment that we're jumping into this. And this is our pool to jump into. It's somebody else's, it's the county's. So I think that we need to wait, let them do what they're gonna do with the county, and then make a decision based on that.
So Councilmember Cheney, on that comment about the cart before the horse. So this is the process. The process was turned into the county for a CUP. They go out to all the stakeholders. We are just one of many stakeholders. Whether we do a letter or don't do a letter, if we agree to this, that doesn't mean it happens. It still has to go through environmental review. It still has to go through all the public hearings. So this is a step in the process, and the county enforcement is at a step where they're like, well, what they submitted, they're willing to back off on that. So the county's trying to basically broker a deal between the opposition parties to see if this is something that they can do. Because it's just a part of the process. Whether we say yay or nay to this, that's just a cog that the county's going to use and LAFCO is going to use if they go on full approval or not. This is just us either saying, yeah, we could probably support that, but we do have conditions. And if the county, then the new CUP coming forth, if they pulled this out, the CUP that would then be circulated for public comment and all the meetings to take place would have all these measures as part of the conditions of that CUP. So they're trying to get the basic structure so they can move this project forward. And they need our input because we're a big voice in the game.
Mr. Olson, again, we'll give them input. This is input right now. And as far as my comment, the cart before the horse, that was based on what I was saying. I understand this is our part of the process. I said, I'm saying we should wait till they're done. And once they go to the county. So I understand completely, Mr. Olson. And again, I guess well, once again, say we're putting the cart before the horse because we're making a decision based on what if. So there you go.
Okay, Ms.
But
Matthews.
I
I'm
thank
sorry.
you, Mr. Olson.
Ms. Matthews, you got anything to ask or to add?
I have a question for Jim, sorry. I was hoping to catch you before you sat down. About how many employees do you plan to employ at the plant and the market?
70 full-time employees in the processing side and 3 on the retail side. I'm actually working with Dave Robinson, the King Sheriff, trying to establish an inmate program where they do training through the processing side and they get released. They have an opportunity for full-time employment.
So that was 70,
70 full-time,
and then
3
3
on the
full-time at the retail?
3, correct.
And then my question, I guess for Nathan is, in our opposition letter, the specifics that we had put down for all of our reasonings, why we oppose this project, without the feedlot being a factor in that, what type of issues are we left with?
The little bit of flies and the potential for maybe some odors coming off the pens, but pretty much all the opposition was really surrounding the feedlot itself and the sheer amount of head of cattle and the waste and stuff that goes along with it. The air quality, the spores and the dust getting blown throughout the community. And so.
And then I guess my next question again for Jim, I apologize for separating those questions, but you had mentioned that you would prefer to have 200
Correct.
head of cattle stored. Are you okay with the limit of, like, are you bendable there? I mean, I know you'd prefer to have 200.
I would, because like if you get in loads on Friday night and Saturday, they won't get harvested till Monday. And it's mostly just for trucking. The trucking is a lot of cattle will come from out of state. So you have to have a window of air, I guess, on trucking side if they get delayed or whatever. Trust me, I don't want a muddy mess next to a retail meat counter. I mean, that's not my goal.
That's all I have for right now.
And how much did you say it was gonna cost to build this thing?
About 35 million.
And so no investors, so do you have partners or something like that, or how does that work?
Correct. With Sandwich Partners, with John Vidovich.
Okay,
And then we're applying for some grant money.
right on. Okay, well, that's all I have. So if council doesn't have anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and open it to public comment.
Do we have a chance to make comments after?
Yes, we'll have a chance after. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and open this to public comment.
Mayor, I do believe we received about 5 or 6 letters.
Okay. Do you want to do the letters first or last? Okay, let's do the letters first.
Let someone in.
Did you get a minute? Do I need to do it?
All right, so the first letter is from Marissa Trejo, and it reads, as a lifelong resident of the city of Lemoore, I am fully aware of how important ag is to our community, and I generally support all aspects of it. With this particular project, I believe that the beef harvesting plant at the northwest corner of Jackson and 41 could be a great addition to the community. However, I am strongly opposed to the proposed cattle feedlot at the southwest lot of 198 and 41. People who choose to purchase property and live in the country outside of city limits generally expect to experience some form of odors associated with ag, but those of us, your community members who choose to invest in the city of Lemoore, should not be subjected to the constant offensive odor associated with a feedlot so close to our homes. COVID has already majorly impacted the way we live. Many community members have adopted healthier lifestyles, as I now see many neighbors out walking each evening. Many others have created an oasis in their backyard to enjoy staycations instead of traveling. Several have adapted to gathering outside at parks instead of in their homes to help lessen their risk of catching COVID. These lifestyle changes should be able to be enjoyed, but no one will want to be outside in 110-degree weather with the smell of the cattle feedlot consuming the air they breathe. Again, I do not see a downside to the harvesting plant at 41 and Jackson, but please do not support the feedlot at 41 and 198. Supporting the feedlot supports reducing the quality of life for your community members. Thank you, Marissa Trejo. Second one I received was from Jeff Garcia, and it reads, on behalf of Family Eye Care Optometry and Kings River Properties LLC, I write to respectfully express our opposition to the Sandridge Cattle Beef Harvesting Plant and Feedlot at the proposed location at the northwest section of Interstate 41 and Jackson Avenue. As a small business owner and property owner here in Kings County, I strongly support economic development and welcome new businesses into Kings County. However, the proposed location of this business type in this location is a highly incompatible land use. Having a large-scale feedlot downwind and this close to existing homes, West Hills College, and the city of Lemoore is a receipt for disaster in many ways. The environmental impact just from noxious odors, dust, and runoff would be terrible for the families and property owners of Lemoore. We do not have to look too far to see the effects this type of business has on air quality. Just look at the Harris Ranch feedlot. You can see and smell it easily 10 miles away. We do not want Lemoore to have this in our backyard. Small independent meat processors are much needed, and the federal government is about to dump millions of dollars to assist these type of operations to develop. This is not the right location for this type of business venture. Mr. Vidovich owns a huge swath of land formerly known as West Lakes Farms that he has allowed to go fallow only to sell the water to Southern California. Maybe this will be a more appropriate location far from existing residents. Please deny this project for this current location and encourage Mr. Vidovich to find a more appropriate location for this business elsewhere in Kings County. Respectfully, Jeffrey Garcia. The second one I received was from Shannon Lorenzo, and it reads, "Good afternoon. I am writing a response to the proposed feedlot to be located at 198 and 41. I would like to ask that the city council members think twice about allowing the development so close to our community. In conducting some quick research on this topic, I find it very disturbing to think that it is even being considered. Research has shown that feedlots pose some major health issues for the communities that are located in close proximity. Here are some key points that need to be analyzed before approving such development. 1, runoff from feedlots may cause surface and groundwater pollution. Further contamination to our water does not come without health risks. Feedlots produce an amount of urine and feces equivalent to 18,000 humans. 2, feedlots generate dust and odor that is going to impact our neighboring homes. 3, emission of substances in the air that negatively impact the health of citizens living in the community. These health issues are typically that of respiratory diseases such as pulmonary disease and poor lung function. There is research to support this fact and it shouldn't be ignored. 4, manure contains a variety of contaminants that can contribute to an increase in deliberating health issues in our community. Manure production on feedlots is in the ballpark of 2,800 tons a year. Manure dust clouds contribute to spreading bacteria in the air throughout the community. 5, real estate values will likely decline due to the odor surrounding our community. While I understand there is a need for agricultural businesses and more humane and organic producing feedlots, it's important to fully understand the impact its location will have on residents' health and the economic impact to the community. A feedlot should be located in an area that is not so close to residential homes. Thank you for taking the time to review some concerns I have regarding the proposed plan. Sincerely, Shannon Riggs. The last one I received was from Scott Goodrich, and it reads, "The feedlot near 198 and 5 offers an unbelievable stench for miles as I travel on Interstate 5. Please do not allow this in my city." Scott Goodrich. Thank you.
So do you have any online comments either also?
I do not. No.
Okay, so we're left with the people in the room. So is there anyone in the room that would like to have a comment? And well, okay, Mr. Brown, you can, yeah.
My name's Dave Brown, 89 Devon Drive here in Lemoore. Just got, if I may, I have a little statement to state, and then I have a few questions I'd like to ask if it's okay. Comments to council. This meeting has had a very short notice. I know a lot of people cannot attend this meeting in person or via Zoom as they are still working. I still oppose this project as stated in my 17 January 22 letter to council. I also sent the same letter to Kings County Planning Commission. I contacted Kings County Planning Commission and asked them again today for any information on this project, and they stated they could not provide any as the project has not been placed on the agenda yet. Only information I can find out is from the Hanford Sentinel Lemoore leader and from conversations in the community, just word of mouth. I respectfully ask that the council take a pause, listen to this afternoon's comments, Work with the developer to have some kind of a town hall meeting. Invite Kings County Planning, council members, county supervisors, if they want to come, and along with the community. Give the people a little notice, give them about a week or two notice, and come to see what the developer has to present. Because right now, all I'm hearing, you would not believe what I've heard about this project, okay? Then schedule a council study session after the project goes to the planning commission, but before it meets, so the people of Lemoore can provide an opinion to their council and city manager concerning both the town hall and what is officially presented and released by county planning. Then at that time, the council, with all the information provided, can make an informed decision concerning the letter of opposition. As of right now, we do not know what is going to be officially proposed to Kings County. It's hearsay, okay? I cannot get it, okay? There might be letters back and forth, but the public does not know. We have conversations, but until these documents are released, we only have conversations and handshakes. And the days of the handshake, unfortunately, cannot be. This will get the city in trouble. The decision will affect the city of Lemoore for many years to come. I do have some questions, if I may ask the developer, if allowed, please.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you, sir, for coming. Appreciate it. I love ag, love farming. I used to be on council, I was on planning commission. So one of my questions was the exact location, because I've heard everything from the corner of 198, because all I have is what's in the newspapers. I cannot get anything from any place. I've looked all over.
Did you see the map earlier?
Well, and I'm just saying, I see it now. It's going to be on Jackson. I see it's on Jackson now. But it's that and I see that that's where the harvesting plant's going to be, which is in the 2030 general plan area of influence for the city of Lemoore. Okay. So that's been in our area of influence for a long time. And you did mention about the acreage. Okay. You said how many acres? But now the question is how much land do you currently own in the project area, and what are the road boundaries? So even if you own the land all the way from Jackson all the way to 198 and 41.
Correct.
So you have that entire, and then on the other side of Jackson, on the south side of Jackson, that's where the county, and it's not in the area of influence for the city because it's not on our general plan map, which I looked at today, unless it's changed and it's not on the city website. So thank you. Are you anticipating any California 41, CA 41 infrastructure upgrade to handle the increased traffic? And if you are, what is? Okay. And now the Caltrans, okay, thank you. How many, and you talked about the wells, and what is your anticipated water usage for both the feedlot and the harvesting? Well, feedlot's out now, but the harvesting plant. And I had the same question. What will the water pumping be only used for this project, or it'll be sent to other areas? And you do it in the farming, you gotta, I used to be on the signal board too. So I'm familiar with the area. And now the cow manure, urine, and worn out bedding. Okay, you got to have urine. You're going to have cow manure. Okay, you're going to have approximately how many cows on station prior to, because they have to set and they have to process. Okay, so you have 300, and they're gonna do their business. And I did some research. You gotta
remember these girls right next to a federally regulated kill plant. So I mean.
I understand. I understand that, but it's still going to produce. And okay, thank you. I'm not going to, I don't want to, but they're still going to produce urine, feces, and you got the bedding, that I've been by I've done some research on dairies, and I've done some research on, I don't have the knowledge that you do, because you're subject matter, but I see the mountains, I see the big hills.
Currently, all the manure that's produced on all the feedlots, including my dairy, we compost it. It's all used on frozen crops.
Okay, and so there's no storage at all because you can't use that manure during.
I'm not gonna store any manure. I'm putting a retail meat counter. I'm not gonna have a pile of manure.
Well, I see, but this is some of the questions, and I've been out in the city that Well, there's some of the questions I have, because I don't know your project, and that's where I go back to. All I'm hearing is what I'm hearing, you know, I would love to have more information in front of me so I could read it.
More than welcome to call me and-
Well, though there's 27,000 people in the city of Lemoore, probably like that information too. All due respect. Okay, and you said there's gonna be farming around there, say, you talked about the retention basins and lagoons, because, you know, you're gonna have stormwater runoff. Because,
All water quality, all be line retention pond.
okay, and so there is gonna be one retention pond now, or 2 retention ponds?
I don't know what water quality is gonna make me do just for the kill plant now.
Okay,
I don't know that.
yeah, we don't know that. Do we know anything about just regular stormwater runoff due to parking or anything like that, retention basins for that? Because I know even in planning, even for, say, you know, you have to have,
This was a retention pond here on the previous drawing. This
Yes, sir.
was gonna Service the kill plant and the feedlot. And then this water be recirculated to all this pond.
okay, so you're gonna pump it across the road and then,
It's on the road.
Oh.
This is all continuous acreage.
oh, that's all
Yes,
continuous?
there's no road.
Where's Jackson on that?
On the south side.
Okay, so it's gonna, this project's gonna
This
be
is
on,
all continuous acreage.
okay, copy, I got you. I was upside down.
Do you see Jackson down there now? Mr.
Yeah, I
Brown?
see it. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we got, a question is, the smell of cattle will be strong. What do you plan to do to mitigate this issue? Heard about fly control. I mean, I don't know. What does fly control mean? Is it fly swatters, or is it, what are we gonna do? I don't understand what
As
fly,
long as you keep your pins dry, there's no way, a fly lice larvae, which is a maggot. you can't
Right.
survive in dry.
right? And mosquito abatement, the same thing with the retention ponds. Because you're gonna have some, those ponds are not gonna be always dry. They're gonna dry down, and then you're gonna,
Operating in the state of California, doing every regulation, yeah, mosquito abatement, water quality, air quality,
Mhm.
and this is a federal meat plant,
Mhm.
it's federally inspected.
but I,
You get a federal inspector on premise 16 hours a day.
okay, cool. Groundwater contamination. What are your plans to ensure there is no issues with groundwater contamination?
Line lagoon, like I said,
You're gonna line the lagoon 1010 line it?
Required to by water quality.
Okay, which 1010. Okay. Water conservation measures. What is your water conservation measures of the plan? Are you gonna be using chemical to,
I have
okay, okay, so you're gonna be using the chemical, and the chemical is gonna be reclaimed.
right into that. Inside this facility here,
Mhm.
you have blood water
Right?
from the ground.
Yes,
That
sir.
all goes through a filtration system, which costs insane amount of money.
Mhm, yeah,
That's cleared up. It all has to meet federal guidelines before it can even hit this retention pond.
so you see the questions that I have, and there's more, but my thing is if I could get, that's the thing is, this needs to be more open to the public. The people needs to know what's going on. I understand you have a grant you're working at, but the thing is, I don't understand, and maybe Nathan Olson could explain, is that, if you would please, is maybe Kings County Planning might have to answer it, but you know, like on your grant and everything, the project hasn't even, it been presented to Planning Commission or Planning Department, but it hasn't even been to Planning Commission. So they haven't even yes or no on it, but the grant's being applied for, and it's probably, I don't understand all, but I probably need to stop now because I've taken too much time. But all I'm asking is this council to pump the brakes, listen to this afternoon's comments, work with the developer to have some kind of meeting, have it over here next door, and let the people come in, give the people a chance to understand what's going on. There's a lot of us that don't, and we've tried to get information, but we can't find it. There's some people who know it. There's a lot of people who don't. And because this is in our area of influence, this is in our 2030 general plan, that area. And this is going to affect the city of Lemoore for 50 years from now. When you sell it to somebody else, you know, we're all gone. This is, our kids going to have to deal, you know, but, and that's all I got to say. Thank you very much. I have what and I have what I said here for the record. I'll give the.
Can we get a copy of that? Did you make a copy, Mr. Brown?
And
Nathan, can we get,
Yeah, we can either make copies or we'll definitely post. any
I have
after
the
handouts.
copies, but is there any questions for me? Probably not. It just, all I do is statement and let you guys go on your way. So thank you though, very much. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, sir. You know, no, it's not easy being up here. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
How are you, Nathan?
Good, how are you?
Good. Pat?
Hello.
Hello. David, I remember you when you were a young man. So back at Immaculate Heart. It's been
Okay.
a long time. Mr. Gornick, Mr. Cheney. My name is Chris Andrada. I'm a fourth generation Lemoore. I come from a farming community. I know about cows. My brother was a cow hauler. I've been around dairies. My mother had a property that my dad built and had to leave because the flies were so bad because of a dairy. I'm rendering plants. I'm not sure what you're going to do about the smell. Well, I mean, the processing, there will be a smell.
okay,
No, not there, but there's.
Okay.
small. But anyway. I wish that you would leave things as they are and not revoke your letter. I will state that Mr. Vidovich, who is your partner, is not a friend of California. All he's concerned about is water. And how much is this processing going to use in, you have to wash the cows, right? No?
Wash the carcass, it's all on. I see it better, it's 50,000 gallons a day, that's including cleanups.
For 100 and how many cows? How many animals?
The process of 100 gallons
50,000
gallons.
gallons of water a day. Okay, and if you are not aware, California is having issues with water. And we're gonna have to change how we use our water in next year. So there's a lot of things that go with this. And we're taking from our water for the city, the aquifer. So that's my opinion. So I ask that you do not approve. Leave it as it is. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Reed.
Tom Reed, Park Avenue, Lemoore. I guess my first question would be, the property north of where the plant will be, all of that up to 198 that he says he owns. Can cattle be on that ground at this time?
You mean, is it zoned animal agriculture?
Can you put cattle there?
Yes, I can put kettle there right now.
Okay. So then my question would be, there would be nothing in the future as is, even if he builds just the plant, that he could have cattle out on that property as kind of a holding area, just wandering around. So that would be a concern of mine. As far as the annexation, I think that takes quite a bit of time, and he's talking about needing something done by March, but that's just the start of the process. So I don't see that as a real possibility in this situation, but something that could be explored. But anyway, I would just, as a first generation Lemoore, I would say that I would not be in favor of it. It doesn't benefit the city of Lemoore specifically. And he has other plants or other feedlots. Why couldn't the feedlot, the processing plant be built near one of those feedlots, which would then eliminate some transportation costs of moving those cattle from point A to point B? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, I'm gonna go ahead and close public comment, bring it back to council. Council, do you have any further discussion? Any further questions, concerns?
Yeah, thank you for all your comments. I think when you go back and look at the process in the original letter that we had on the screen, if you could put that up from the planning commission, thanks. They talked about regulatory agencies in bold. What regulatory agencies are they talking about in that letter?
It'll click off who they sent all the notices.
It's the second
Yeah, second page.
Second paragraph.
second paragraph by 11822.
The,
All comments from regulatory agencies must be received by 11822.
yeah, so if you go to the next page, they have Kings County agencies. It's basically the list right there, of everybody that they sent correspondence out to, because a lot of the things we're talking about, there's agencies that deal with these specific
Right.
things as we go through the process. So as you see here, so Kings County was the Ag Commissioner, the Assessor, KCAG, Building Division of Kings County Community Development, Environmental Health, Fire Department, Public Works, Animal Control, Code Compliance, and Kings Area Rural Transit were the Kings County agencies. The local agencies were Lemoore Irrigation District, City of Lemoore, Kings Mosquito Abatement District, San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District,
Got it.
Kings County EDC, Farm Bureau, and the Santa Rosa Rancheria Tachioca Tribe. Do you want me to list
No,
the
that's good.
state
Thank you.
agencies for those online?
And then the federal agencies that were identified below that are the same.
Oh, yeah, can you go down a little bit? The federal agencies
Yeah.
were the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
So let me understand what Kings County is asking for. So if we sent our letter in, you're saying the process would still move forward, they'd still have to get these responses from all these individuals.
Yes, we are just, because this is not our jurisdiction, we are one of these many people that are going to provide comment. But when you have a major opposition, as we are, the planning commission can see this probably is going to be could potentially be problematic getting passed, because a feedlot this close to a city is out of the norm.
Right.
So they're simply coming back now as part of their due diligence to say, well, listen, we've talked to the project owner. It's no different than when we have, if somebody submits a project for Lemoore, they come in and say, we want to do this. I can't tell anybody about it. We can't talk about it until they have a final application that's been submitted to go out. We can't, even if I know tons of stuff, I can't talk about it until it's
Yeah, but I
final.
guess my
So we're-
understanding of why doesn't the county say, if you want to do this, resubmit this document the way you want to have the cities or these other agencies consider it? Because now we're talking about somebody's got to go out for a grant, and so we've got to, I don't feel any urgency about somebody's deadline for a grant, quite honestly. That's not my issue.
And neither do I, Mr. Gornick, but when the county's trying to move this project forward,
That's my point. The
yeah.
county's trying to move it forward.
yeah. And all they're asking us if we would be agreeable to supporting the beef rendering plant.
Yeah.
So, or the beef harvesting plant. So we either can say, yeah, we'd be supportive of that, or at this point, we're undecided. And then we tell them, I say, hey, Chuck, we don't have consensus to agree to this, and the county moves forward with this. So whether we agree, disagree, we're not the authority here. We don't get to say the project goes or stays. We're just one opinion of everybody listed in here.
Okay, thank you.
Nathan, I think we all understand that. We all understand that we're just a cog in the wheel. But my concern, no one else's, is this application still shows what I'm seeing in front of me.
It's not correct.
The feedlot's still in it. Am I wrong? It still shows it on the plans.
Right,
So
but
I don't care what
okay.
somebody else says.
Yeah.
This says right in front of us that it still has the feedlot on it.
Mhm.
Nothing is to change anybody. Past history has proven to us that handshake deals are not it. This piece of paper right here shows that they're putting a processing. This little piece of paper says they won't. This says they will.
Right, but if you go back to the communication from the county planning division, they're saying they're gonna pull the feedlot from the proposal. We're just working off what has been out there. So
No, I
if we,
understand that.
I mean, they're gonna move it forward. They will bring another document out and it'll have the same thing. They'll have to probably, I don't know if they change the CUP or if they still use this one. But everybody then will probably go back out for a round of comments on just the harvesting plant, or they will pull the feedlot out and they'll just continue to carry forward with just the feedlot portion of it.
My opinion right now is that I'm fine with the way we sent the letter in, and I'd like to let the process move forward.
So is that a motion?
What, we either do a motion to keep the letter we have, Nathan, I'm asking, or Mary, actually.
Yeah.
We do a motion to keep the letter that we currently have, or we change the letter, correct? We give instruction to change the letter.
Right, so you
to-
could have someone make a motion to
Either way.
keep things the way they are with our current letter on file. You could have someone make a motion to say, we want to send a new letter saying the city supports the harvesting plant with the conditions outlined by Nathan. There's a number of motions that could be made, but yeah, you can make a motion, vote on it, and then we have a record.
I have a quick comment real quick. Would any of you think that it would be beneficial to table this for a week or 2 weeks to get more information and more clarity on the project itself? Maybe something more in writing?
I would like to see a lot more transparency in this process and not just run off and I like somebody has said, I want our people to have their voice, and I want it to be able to be done correctly, not at 5 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon. I would like to, I could go along with tabling it if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, I, like Mr. Brown said, let's pump our brakes. I said cool our jets, but basically the same thing. So, yeah, I think that we need to have a lot more input and the more people. Although we've heard quite a bit, I think that more people need to have their voices heard. So I agree with that.
I'm just curious, because there seems to be a lot of people who are still thinking that it was the feedlot and the plant together. And I just wonder if if people's opinions may change with the clarity of that. I'm just trying to get all the information out there and get good feedback. So that's my reasoning for.
I agree.
So Mr. Gornick, yeah, you were saying,
Well, I would like to make a motion that we not take any action tonight, and that we allow our original letter to stand, and that we also involve our planning commission in this. That one of the things that concerns me is that we have a planning process in the city, and I don't think they've seen this. Well, I think they've.
is this going to go to our
This-
planning?
this-
It's not going to go.
This
to our
doesn't go to
planning.
our planning commission because
Even
it's
if
not a
in the
city project.
Even if it's in the city sphere of influence?
No, they have no authority or control over it. This is a county project.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
Well, then,
I
I
think
strike the part about sending it to the city. I just like to leave our letter stand as it is, yeah, and let the county decide what they want to do with the project.
Okay, so I do have a motion. So do I have a second on the motion? And just to see you go to a vote, I will second it. So with that being said, Mr. Warnick, how do you vote?
Aye.
I vote aye. Mr. Ort,
Aye.
Mr. Cheney,
No,
and Mrs. Matthews.
No,
So the ayes have it. So the letter will stay as written on January 18th regarding CUP 2106.